Well, it's June 2nd. Fairbanks is struggling to get to 70 degrees this year. I think the highest it's been 66. I was thinking about telling a little story. Uh, it happened not too long ago, just about a week or so ago. I decided I was going to go do some fishing down on the Kenai Peninsula. So I drove down there and I fished 3 or 4 days and beach fished, and I was catching a lot of these other kinds of fish, but I was trying to catch a halibut. It took me about 4 days to catch one. And then I was there another 3 or 4 days and hadn't caught one. I thought, Lord, it'd be nice if I could catch another fish, you know. And I was messing around there, and I got this feeling that tonight, this evening, when the tide comes up, because you had to fish, I was just fishing the high tides, like an hour before high tide and then maybe an hour or two after high tide. Vice versa, maybe up to 4 hours. I'd only throw out 3 or 4 baits during that time, but every time I reeled in, I'd have a different type of a fish that I didn't want to catch. They called them Irish Lords. So anyway, a real ugly looking fish with a big old head and a big old mouth on them. They looked like scalpins, like saltwater scalpins, what I'd call them. But anyway, so I got this feeling, that I was going to catch a fish. But this feeling is a feeling that I kind of like I'd felt, lots of times in my life, and I used to think, well, I had good intuition, but I got to talking to my Aunt Pat, and I'll dedicate this story to my Aunt Pat. Uh, we were talking, and she's like, no, Robert, that's the Holy Spirit. And the way she told it to me, and the way she explained it to me, I understood it, which I'd heard about the Holy Spirit before, but I never really connected with it, I don't know why, but like I didn't really know that I had felt it or anything like that. So anyway, I get this feeling that I'm going to catch a fish. So, before high tides, and I think I might even lay down, took a nap, I can't remember. But anyway, I got up and I had to make up some more baits, and I was putting my bait inside of a 8-inch piece of PVC, and then freezing it, and then I'd shoot it out of an air cannon that I built. And it'd shoot it out there, 100 yards or so, But anyway, so I had to make up some more of them, but the ones I had already made up with the hooks on them and the cord and the nylon cord for a leader, and then tying that nylon string onto a monofilament line like a regular fishing string. I had a bunch of them made up, but then they got all tangled up. And I was throwing them in a coffee cup. I got 2 or 3 of them out, but then after that they were just tangled, and I couldn't get them. I couldn't get them loose. They had big weights on them, half-pound weights that hooked to the line too, and it would slide back and forth. So it was just a mess. So I'm trying to redo all this, and I got to put 2 hooks onto a nylon cord. I have to tie the nylon cord to a regular monofilament line, and then I have to hook on a piece of a herring and put 2 hooks in him. And then I'd wrap it with some baits. It's like elastic, but really small. And you could wrap your bait onto your hooks like that, and back and forth a few times, and tie it off. And then that way it was almost impossible for a fish just to come up there and suck it off your hooks. So anyway, I'm trying to do that, and I don't know what I was making up, 6 or 7 of them or something like that. So this went on for high tide was at like 11 o'clock that night, and it was about 9:30, and that's about what time I started it. And about the same time I started doing that, I threw my line out, shot it out with that air cannon I had, shot my bait out 100 yards or so out into the ocean, and I staked down a rod holder into the beach, and then I had a 12-foot fishing pole, so I stuck it into that rod holder. And I could set my pickup truck on the passenger side, and I could look right out my windshield and watch my pole. Well, this went on, like I said, about an hour and a half, up till about 11 o'clock. And all this time, every time I'd look at my fishing pole, I'd say, Lord, not yet. because I was busy. You know what I mean? And it was nasty. And I mean, I almost used I used a bunch of paper towels wiping the fish slime off my hands so I could redo some, like tie my bait around my string, or even make tie the nylon onto the monofilament line, let alone tie the hooks onto the nylon, because I was putting on two hooks on one line, just about 4 or 5 inches apart. So anyway, I mean, I probably looked at my old fishing pole in that hour and a half probably 90 times, once every minute, and every time I'd look at it, I'd say, not yet, Lord, because I was still messing around trying to get all my baits up, not putting them in that 8-inch pieces of PVC, and I was freezing them. I had my deep freeze in the back of the pickup truck. So anyway, but during that whole time, I had faith that I was going to catch a halibut. That's what I'm trying to say. That I got this feeling, that I believe came from the Holy Spirit. So anyway, I get my bait all put together, and like I said, I kept looking at my pole, going, "Not yet, Lord, not yet, Lord." So I get my bait all made up and everything, and I put it in a coffee cup, and I get out of the truck, I put it in the deep freeze, and I was making this stuff up in a gold pan to keep from getting, everything all over the place. It's cold there too. I mean, not real warm, especially when it's getting dark. And so I got back to the truck, and I set my gold pan down, and I looked up at my fishing pole, and I didn't even have time to say, "Lord, I'm ready," or "Lord, not yet," nothing like that. Just as soon as I looked up at my fishing pole starts wiggling, that I have a bite, and I jump up and run down there, tried to run down there since I'm half crippled anyway with my knees. I hobbled, maybe that would be a better word to describe it. I hobbled to my fishing pole and gave it a big jerk. There was nobody on the beach. It was almost dark. There was 4 people, 2 men and 2 women to my left, about 100 yards. And then there was like a mile of beach there, and there was no one else fishing. Well, anyway, I reeled it in. I had a 21-pound halibut, and I was really happy about it. And it was so dark by the time I got it into my pickup truck. I had to turn my lights on so I could skin it, and put it in the freezer that night. But I just thought that was quite the story, that I could sit there and tell the Lord for an hour and a half, "Not yet, Lord, not yet, Lord." And having the same piece of bait out there. I hadn't touched my pole for an hour and a half. I mean, it wasn't like I had it out there for 30 minutes, reeled it in, put a new piece of bait on, and threw it out there again, But 11 o'clock when I caught the fish was right at the peak of high tide also. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. It was as true as it could be. Have a good day.